Yesterday I had talked about simple Java language, about arrays, how they are useful, and I talked about some basics of object-oriented programming. Fine. So I'll continue today. I'll start with the basics of object-oriented. I'll go over to Selenium and I will tell you all the things. Fine. Let's start it. I'll create a new project, a new Java project called Day 2. Okay, now let's see object-oriented programming in a little bit detail, right? Suppose I make a class called phone. Okay, I have made this class called phone.java, right? I have not made the main function in it deliberately. Okay, in it I will declare a variable like int or string name. Fine, and I can declare a function like public void call and public void receive call. Now these are the two different functions inside the class. These are the functions of a phone, right? That it is capable of calling up somebody and it is also capable of receiving the calls. Okay, so these are known as functions. Alright, so yesterday I had also talked about static. That what is static? Static is something which is common for all the objects, right? So we'll see that now, and later on in some time we'll see how that is used in Selenium, right? I'll make a class called test phone with the main function. In this I will create two objects of phone, that is phone p1 equals to new phone and phone p2 equals to new phone. So when I write p1 dot name, I can assign the name as say Nokia, and p2 dot phone, p2 dot name equals to iPhone, right? So these two are different phones with different names. Okay, in the memory what will happen is that two objects will be made. P1 and P2 will point towards these two objects, right? And name variable will be present in both the phones. One will be initialized to Nokia, other will be initialized to iPhone. Along with it, the functions will also be present. Okay, the call function will be there for this object and receive call function will be there for this object. Similarly, call and receive call function will be there for both the objects. Okay, now suppose in phone.java I write system.out.println inside the call function, the name of the phone plus is calling, and in this I will write system.out.println name of the phone plus is receiving call. Okay, now in test phone if I write over here p1 dot receive call, you can fire the function in p1 by writing p1 dot receive call and p2 dot receive call. So what will happen? What will happen is that when I write p1 dot receive call, okay, the function receive call of p1 is called. When I write p2 dot receive call, this is called. Okay, now receive call is referring to the variable name, right? So when P1.receiveCall is called, it will refer the name of P1, and when you write P2.receiveCall, it will refer the name of P2. So when I run this code, this prints in output Nokia is receiving call and iPhone is receiving call. Right? Nokia is receiving call and iPhone is receiving call. So these two are separate objects, right? These two are separate objects, but they have the same method, like receive call is present in P1 as well as P2. So you can call the respective function of an object and you can use it. Okay. Now when the static comes into picture, right? What is this? This is known as non-static variable. This is known as non-static function. Okay. Now there can be a feature which is common for all the phones. Okay. Which is common for all the phones. For example, taking a scenario like public void shutdown. All the phones can be shut down. So we'll make this static. Making this static will no longer make the shutdown function, as we saw yesterday as well, right? If we make something static, it no longer remains the part of the object. So what will happen is that this static function will lie somewhere out here in the memory at a common location, and all the objects will communicate with this function at the common location. Okay, so I can write over here to call the static stuff. I can directly write the name of the class, that is phone.shutdown. Okay. So similarly, in global variables also I can have a global variable, static global variable. These are global variables because they are not present inside any function. Okay, I can declare a static variable like static int keys equals to 10. I'm just taking a hypothetical scenario that suppose all the phones in this world are supposed to have 15 keys. That's it. Then the keys will be static in nature. So all the phones will have 15 keys. If I write over here system.out.println p1.keys, you should not call a static variable with the help of an object, but I'm just giving you a example. Okay, p1.keys and p2.keys, and if you run this, then this prints 15 and 15, which is absolutely right. The keys variable can also be accessed with the help of class, that is phone.keys equals to, if I write 100, then all the phones will have 100 keys. Right? Non-static is something which is there inside the object, like the name or the receive call or the function like call. These all are non-static, and static is something which is common for all the objects. Now how this is used in Selenium, right? How this is used in Selenium. Okay, let's see this file. First of all, we need to learn how to configure Selenium with Eclipse. Okay, how to configure Selenium with Eclipse. Actually, the thing is, I have seen many people asking me, Ashish, I don't know how to install Selenium. Okay, there is nothing known as installing Selenium. Okay, this is a wrong terminology. Selenium is not installed, it is configured in your machine. Okay, to configure Selenium, you should be knowing about the concept of API in Java. What happens when you install Java on your machine? Okay, this is Java which got installed on your machine, Java SE 1.6. Nothing gets, nothing comes into your machine but set of jar files they come into your machine. Now, what is a jar file? If I go to this project properties and go to the physical location where this project is lying, then yesterday I told you that every Java file is converted into a class file. Okay. Now suppose if I am working on a big project, right? I am working on a project which is very huge in scale. I end up making 1000 Java files. Okay. Corresponding to 1000 Java files, I end up making 1000 class files. And suppose I want to release the whole project in the market. I just cannot put 1000 Java files over there and ask the user to download them individually, or 1000 class files over there and ask the user to download them individually. Okay, what we can do, we can zip all the class files, put it in a zip file and upload it on the server and ask the users to download it. Right? We can ask the users to download the zip file, right? But the problem is not exactly the problem. There will be no structure. Okay? In Java, what we do is we don't put them in a zip file. We put the class files in a single file called as a jar file, and these are the jar files which get downloaded or which get installed on your machine when you install Java. Each jar file will have lot of class files in it. Okay, if you actually expand, suppose I expand this jar file, inside it there are many packages. You see how many class files are out here. If you expand it, then you'll see that many class files are again in it. So a jar file is something which is a collection of class files, right? And when you install Java, Java is basically a set of jar files that come into the machine, right? So now somebody there, he came up and he made, I'll show it to you with the help of diagram. Now this is core Java, right? Now somebody, he made some files and he released another API, that means a set of jar files, which can, we'll use later on, which is known as the POI API. Now POI API is used to read XLS files with the help of Java. You can write your own Java code to read the Excel files, okay? But somebody else has already written the logic to read the Excel files, right? So let's use that logic. So we download the POI API. Okay, for example, we download the jar files corresponding to POI API from the POI website. Okay, and I'll show you. Here are the jar files. Okay. Yeah, these are the POI API jar files. Okay, they look like a zip file in my machine, but they are jar files. Okay, each of the jar files will have many class files in them. So what we do, we include these jar files in the project, right? And then we can use the classes inside these jar files, and we can easily code. This saves our time. Similarly, whosoever made Selenium, okay, he made another API called as Selenium API. In our case, it will be WebDriver or Selenium 2.0. And he released a set of jar files in the market. You can go to the Selenium site and download these jar files. I'll show you. Just go to Google and type download Selenium. Go to this link, and this is the latest version 2.21 for Java. You can download that. You click on this download link and you can download the zip file. When you extract the zip file, okay, I'll show you. You will get a folder like this. Like I have 2.20 right now. 2.21 is there, right? So you get a folder like this. When you open this, you will have two jar files out here, okay, and there will be a lib folder. Okay, please note this. There is a lib folder, and inside the lib folder, other type of jar files are also present. Okay, so Selenium has got these all jar files plus these two jar files. Selenium Java 2.21.0 and Selenium Java 2.21.srcs.jar. Okay, now how do you include these jar files in your Eclipse? Right, you need to go to the properties of your project. Okay, go to the project properties, go to Java build path, fine, go to libraries tab. I'll again repeat. Okay, right click, go to the properties of the project, go to Java build path, click on libraries and add external jars. Click on it, add external jars, and you can select the jars which you want to add in your Selenium. I will add these two jar files. Okay, 2.21.0 and sources. I will add these two, and I will add all the jar files in the library. Click on OK, and it will set the build path. You'll get all the jar files listed like this. Okay, it's better to switch your perspective. What do you mean by switching your perspective? In Eclipse, you will get this icon. Okay, when working with Selenium, always work in the Java perspective. These are various perspectives in Selenium, or sorry, in Eclipse. Always work in Java perspective. When you click on this, you will get it in a little bit organized manner. This is my JRE system library. That means the library or the jars which were installed by default in my machine when core Java was installed. And these are the configured jar files of Selenium, which I just imported in my project. That means that I can use the classes present in each of these jar files. You will be able to expand these jar files in Eclipse. You won't be able to expand it on the hard disk. Right? Okay, so how do I know what stuff is present inside it? That you can learn about that by going into Java docs of Selenium. If you refer Java docs of Selenium, then you will have all classes option over here. Okay, these are all the classes, the inbuilt classes which are present in those jar files. Okay, and one of the classes is, which I talked about yesterday as well, it is Firefox driver. Okay, this is the class Firefox driver. It is responsible to test your application on Firefox. Let's use this class. I'll create a new class of mine working with Selenium. Okay, I'll create a class called Firefox driver equals to new Firefox driver. Okay, and I have created the object of the inbuilt class Firefox driver out here. Okay, you have to import this class. You can import this class by moving your mouse on this and selecting the option import Firefox. You have to import it from the jar file, inside some package inside the jar file. Okay, so now I'll tell you in some time. I'll tell you about Chrome, I'll tell you about Safari, I'll tell you about Firefox, everything. Okay, so Firefox driver is the class. When I move my mouse, I select the option import, it will import the Firefox driver. So when you run this, it will see, it opens a blank Firefox window, right? Similarly, if I have to work with Internet Explorer, okay, in this there is a driver called Internet Explorer driver. Okay, so you make the object of Internet Explorer driver called d2 equals to new Internet Explorer driver. Okay, i7, i8 works fine, i6 is also good. i9 I have heard that some people, they tell me that it gives a lot of issues. I don't work with i9. Okay, so when I run this now, it opens a blank Firefox and a blank IE. Okay, Selenium always works on proxy on your local machine. Okay, this is written. This is the initial start page of WebDriver server. I am on a Windows Server 2003 operating system. Okay, it is it's having i6 basically. Okay, I am working with some load runner scripts. That's why I am working on this. Fine. So now in this, there is another driver known as Chrome driver. Now this is a little bit tricky. If I directly create the object of a Chrome driver. Now one more thing. On Windows 7, if you are using IE8 or so, this line might throw an error about some protected mode. Okay, in IE8 in Windows 7, you have to go to Google, and in Windows you have to search about how to turn off protected mode in i7, i8. You should keep the protected mode off. Okay, when working with Selenium, it's not necessary to keep it off. It has to be at the same level. But I give advice to everybody: keep it off. You can just read the instructions. Turn it off. Only then Selenium will open a browser, that is IE browser, on your machine if you are working with i7 or i8. Okay, just read this, how to turn off the protected mode. Right? Now the third is Chrome driver. D3 equals to new Chrome driver. Now who is responsible behind Selenium? Major entity responsible behind Selenium is Google. Okay, and who is responsible behind Chrome? Google. So they always make sure that it works on Chrome. Always. Right? But if I run this code now, if I directly try to run this, it opens Mozilla, it opens an IE, but for Chrome I get an exception. Illegal state exception. The path to Chrome driver executable must be set by webdriver.chrome.driver system property. Okay, there is a system property called webdriver.chrome.driver which I have to set. Alright, so basically I'll tell you how this thing will work. Okay, just a minute. What the Selenium guys have given us, they have given us a Chrome driver.exe. you have to download that. Secondly, make sure Chrome is installed. This Chrome driver.exe is different than Chrome.exe, which you normally install it when installing Chrome. Okay, make sure that Chrome is installed on your machine. Okay, thirdly, you need to set a system property like this: system.setProperty. System is an inbuilt class in Java. Inside it, setProperty is a static function. If you move your mouse over setProperty, you will see the keyword and the description of this function. The static keyword is there in front of setProperty. You have to specify a key and a value. The key is always the one which is specified in the error out here. That is, we got this error right. It was written: the path to Chrome driver executable must be set by the WebDriver.Chrome.Driver system property. Right. So you copy this property: WebDriver.Chrome.Driver. Okay, and this will be the key. The value will be the path to the Chrome driver exe which you have downloaded. Okay, out here the path will be I have kept a URL. Hold on. Yeah, this is the URL. Okay, this is the URL. Okay, I'll keep the URL in this file. You have to download the Chrome driver.exe depending on your operating system, whether it is Windows, Mac, Linux, 64-bit, Linux 32-bit, whatever it is. I downloaded it over here, this zip file. Okay, and what I did was, this is the URL. What I did was I actually kept this in my C drive. I extracted the zip file over here in this folder, and this is Chrome driver.exe file. Okay, Chrome driver.exe. You have to copy the path of this file. This is made by Selenium guys, not by Google or something. So you have to give this path over here. In Java, whenever you specify a path, you have to give double slash as soon as escape sequence. In Java, you have to give double slash whenever you are specifying the path. Okay, now when you run this, this will open up the Chrome as well. You see that the Chrome got opened, right? So this is the way to work with Chrome. In IE, make sure that protected mode is off in IE7, IE8, right? Then only you can work with it. Not exactly off, it should be at the same level. I switch it off whenever I work with Selenium. Okay, so now how to access the functions inside these classes? For example, I have this phone.java. It had various static and non-static functions inside it. In testphone.java, I have created the objects and I have called the functions, right? But out here in Firefox driver, I will be having certain set of functions and variables. When I write driver dot, I get so many functions and variables in Firefox driver, right? Similarly, when I write IE driver d2 dot, I again get lot of functions and variables. Okay, so how do I work with this? Similarly in Chrome also, Chrome class I will be having various functions. Now these are inbuilt classes, right? One way can be that fine, go to your documentation, click on Internet Explorer driver, you get this class. In the method summary you will get the methods and all present in it. Sorry. Okay, now but how do I make sure which method is to navigate to a page on Firefox driver, which method is to navigate on an IDE driver, which method is to navigate on a Chrome driver, right? The answer to this comes from the concept of interfaces in Java. Okay, in object-oriented programming we have the concept of interfaces, right? So now I am going to teach you the concept of interface, and then I will tell you how these classes they can be used, okay, with the help of the interface WebDriver. And hold on, I'll tell you. Basically, I'll make a new class. I'll make a new interface out here. Instead of class, I'll make an interface. Okay, and I will name my interface like, suppose, bank. Interface bank. Fine. Now in this bank interface, what all features can I have? Or what is an interface? It is something which is abstract, which is just an outline, you can say. For example, it will have public void transfer. This will be one function inside the interface. Again, public void receive. So these will be the two functions inside the interface. Fine. Now I have not given any body to the functions. Inside interfaces there is no body. Okay, there is no body to the functions in interface, right? It's just a simple name followed by semicolon. Just by looking at the interface you can come to know what bank does, right? Now suppose there is a class called, fine, interface is just like an a la carte menu which you get in a restaurant when you go to have food. You have all food items available with you and you just look at it and you order the food, right? It's similar to that. Okay, now the name, suppose I have another class called HSBC, right? In HSBC class I can have the functions which are same as the interface. Okay, so what we do is we write like this: public class HSBC implements bank. That means that this HSBC class has signed up a contract that it will implement all the functions which are present in the bank interface, right? So when you move your mouse over HSBC and you select the option add unimplemented methods, okay, you are getting an error right now because you have not implemented the functions from the bank interface. So when you select this option you get these two functions, public void transfer and receive, coming up, and an annotation. This is known as a annotation that this method is an overriding method. Okay, this method it overrides, that means it is coming from the bank interface. Okay, inside it I can write system.out.println HSBC transferring money. Okay, similarly in receive I can write system.out.println HSBC receiving money. Okay, this and just look at why is this annotation required? If I remove this, I will not get an error. Okay, I will not get an error. But suppose if my friend, he looks at my code, he will immediately understand that fine, this function is coming from a bank interface. Suppose I add one more function in HSBC like public void international transfer. Then this function is something which is not coming from the bank interface. It is local to HSBC, so it's not got an override sign in front of it. So this means that this is just HSBC's local service, right? Okay. Similarly, so this is a local, you can say, a function which is not coming from the bank interface. Okay. Now I will create one more class, say Citibank. Now Citibank is also a bank. Okay. It will also implement the bank interface. If it is implementing the bank interface, it will have to implement all the functions like these two functions which are there in HSBC. This option is not coming. Like these two functions like this. Transfer. In the transfer, it will be Citi transferring money and Citi receiving money. The function names will be same in both HSBC and Citibank, but the implementation will be different. HSBC might try to implement the transfer functionality in a different way, and the Citibank might try to implement the receiving functionality in different way. Okay, just be patient. I'll come over to Selenium and I'll tell you why I'm teaching you this. Okay, try to concentrate on this. It's very important. Okay, so bank is an interface. With the help of diagram, I'll tell you. This is an interface bank. This is my HSBC class. This is my Citibank class, and both the classes are implementing this bank interface. It's got two functions, transfer and receive. So both the functions transfer as well as receive are present in both the files. In plus the HSBC class, this is my HSBC. It has got another feature like international transfers. Okay, fine. Now why is this important? How is this useful? Okay, suppose I release this code in the market. Okay, I release this bank code in the market. So an end user will just look at the bank interface, okay, and he'll come to know what a bank does. If you tell him that HSBC and Citibank, both of them are implementing this interface, he will automatically come to know that transfer and receive functions will be there in HSBC and Citibank. Okay, right? Now, if I create a new class, if you are not able to understand, feel free to ask questions. You can move your mouse on the top of the page, click on the participants tab, unmute yourself and speak up anytime. Alright? Okay. So those of you who have missed yesterday's class, things might be a little bit tough for them, but I will certainly, I have given you the recorded sessions, right? You'll get it. Okay. Now, in TestBank class, I have this hsbc.java. I'll create the object of hsbc.java. Okay, I'll write hsbc h equals to new hsbc, and I will also create the object of Citibank like this. Citibank b equals to new Citibank. Okay, now if you write h dot, you will get the option transfer h dot r receive and h dot international transfers. You will get all the three functions because hsbc.java has got three non-static functions: transfer, receive and international transfer. Right. Similarly, if you talk about the Citibank, say C, then C dot transfer will be there and C dot receive will be there, but international transfers is something which is only for HSBC. Just taking an example. Fine. So when I run this code, it prints this: HSBC transferring money, HSBC receiving money, HSBC international transfer, Citi transferring money, Citi receiving money. Okay, this is fine. This is good, right? But this is the way we use it practically. Take the interface name. What is the name of the interface? Bank. What if I try to create the object of bank by writing bank b equals to new bank? I will not be able to create the object. It is illegal to create the object of interface in Java. You cannot create the object of an interface. But I can write like this: bank b equals to new HSBC. Bank B1 equals to new HSBC. Now, what does this mean? I am creating the object of HSBC and giving it a reference of bank. Yesterday we saw, right, what is meant by references. I had taken this object, a house example, and I had created various references H1, H2, H3, and I had changed the references. Right. So what I am doing is I am out here creating the object of HSBC, giving it the reference of bank B1. In layman terms, through this B1, I can only access overridden methods. That means the methods which are implemented by the HSBC class. I can write B1 dot transfer, B1 dot receive, but B1 dot international transfer will not be applicable. Through the bank reference, I can only access those functions in HSBC which HSBC is implementing from the bank interface. Okay. Similarly, you can also write bank B2 equals to new Citibank. And similarly, you can only access the two functions, that is B2 dot transfer and receive. Now, how is this used practically? That might be the question coming up in everybody's mind. Okay. Well, if you open up the documentation of Selenium, then out here we have all the classes, right? And all the classes which are in italics. For example, this mouse class is in italics, right? This is an interface. Again, network or local storage, this is an interface. Locatable, this is an interface. Okay, so whatever is in italics is an interface. Suppose I click on this mouse, I'll get this interface mouse written over here. These are the functions corresponding to the mouse. That means click, click, context click, double click, mouse down, mouse move, mouse up, and all. And these are the two classes which are implementing the mouse interface. All known implementing classes. Okay, that's why I told you yesterday that many people tell me that the documentation of Selenium is not available. It is available. It is little bit technical. It is inside the Java docs. So if you know Java language, it's very easy to understand Selenium. Okay. Similarly, everybody has heard the word WebDriver. Okay, what is WebDriver? If you look at this, then you will find that WebDriver is an interface. Okay, WebDriver is an interface, and all these classes out here: Android driver, Android WebDriver, Chrome driver, event firing driver, Firefox driver, HTML, Internet Explorer, iPhone, remote, Safari driver. All these are the implementing classes. Okay, there is an interface WebDriver and all these classes implemented, out of which we have studied Android driver, we have studied Firefox driver, and we saw Chrome driver. Right? Safari driver just came up in this release. You can also work with it. Android driver is used to test how your application is behaving on Android based phone, how your web based application is behaving. You just cannot go and test any application on Android like this. Okay, how your website is opening on Android. Right? So this is the interface WebDriver, and all these classes, these three classes out here, where's the one working with it? Yeah, Firefox driver, IE driver, and Chrome driver are implementing the same interface WebDriver. So that means that the functions which will be present in the WebDriver interface will be present in all the three classes. Analogous to the example which I gave you right now, that is, the functions which are present in bank will be present in Citibank and HSBC. The implementation will be different. Similarly, the functions which are present in WebDriver, those functions will be present in in the drivers which are mentioned out here in all these drivers. What is the advantage? By just looking at this, I will come to know, looking at the interface, I will come to know which functions are present in each and every driver class. Right? So suppose there is a driver coming up tomorrow, say some other browser driver, okay, XYZ driver. Okay, then that driver will also have to implement the WebDriver interface. Okay, so if you scroll down, you look at the features like close, find element, get current URL, get page source, get title. You might relate these functions. Okay, you might understand them a little bit. Okay, but we'll study them in each and individual function in detail. We'll study that in coming time, right? So if you look at the description of this function get, what does it do? It loads a new web page in the current browser window. Okay, so what we can do is, in my program, if I write driver, suppose I will name it driver Firefox. Okay, I write driver ff dot, I will get the function get. I can write http gmail.com. So this Firefox browser will now navigate to gmail.com. Always remember, writing the protocol is very important. Okay, don't skip the protocol. If I don't write the protocol HTTP or HTTPS, I will get an error. You cannot skip it. Similarly, if I want to take my IE, I am having IE6, right? It gives an error. Okay, better don't work on IE6. Driver.get, you can specify the URL here. The get function will be there in driver IE object as well as the driver ff, the Firefox and IE. Both will have the get function. This get function is coming from the internal interface, that is the WebDriver interface. Okay, so similarly, Chrome will also have the get function. Suppose I take the Chrome to google.com. Okay, fine. Now I'll not run it on IE because I am having IE6, it gives some issue. Okay, when I run this on Firefox and Chrome, it will open a Firefox, take it to Gmail, and after that it will open Chrome and take it to Google. Right? The function is the same, but the implementation is different in different browsers. If you have got i8 or and all, you can turn on the protected mode, this will work, or i7 also this will work. Okay, so now suppose I go to Gmail. Fine. After going to Gmail, I need to click on any element on the page. Right? I need to click on any element on the page. How do I do it with the help of Selenium? I need to enter my username, I need to enter the password, and I need to log in, or whatever I have to do. Okay? To understand that, right, you need to understand HTML language a little bit. Okay, I would recommend everybody who is serious enough to learn this tool to go to Google and give half an hour time, that's it, in learning HTML tutorial. This will really help you. Okay, what is HTML? So you go to HTML tutorial and learn it from the W3 Schools website. Okay, what is HTML? HTML is basically the language in which your page is made, this web page. If you go to the source of the page, this is the source of the page. This is nothing but the HTML language. It is very simple, very simple. It looks complex, but it is very simple. Just given half an hour of your time to study these topics, just the HTML basics. Don't know HTML advanced and all, just HTML basics. If you understand it completely, then working with Selenium becomes 10 times easier. Why? Because Selenium actually goes inside the source page and then it works. It actually works by going inside the source of the page. Okay, so if you know how the source of the page is, for example, there is an anchor tag or an h2 tag or a br tag, these are the tag names. Fine, what these tags represent, what these tags means, h2 means the heading. Okay, then it will become very easy for you, right? So I'll talk about HTML. Fine, before moving further, I will have to talk about HTML. Because unless I don't talk about it, you guys will not understand it.